Good evening and welcome. Today on Capitol Hill, a moment that may look routine on the surface revealed a much deeper constitutional fault line, one that goes straight to the heart of presidential
Senator
power,
Coons.
the rule of
Thank
law,
you, Mr.
and the
Chairman.
independence
Welcome,
of the
Attorney General
Department of
Bondi, and to
Justice.
your family
If you
and
value
supporters.
clear,
Thank you for your
fact-based
service.
breakdowns
I
like
look
this,
forward to our
make sure you
conversation today.
subscribe to the
I have a
channel
simple
so you never
three-factor
miss
test
an
when
important
considering
moment like
the
this one.
executive branch nominees before us. Do you have the qualifications and experience to do the job, policy views to do the job in the best interest of the American people, and the character and integrity to conduct your job, and yours in particular, with the independence that the role requires? You demonstrably have the relevant experience. I understand we will not see eye to eye on some or even many policies, but we had a constructive conversation last week about our shared interest in fighting the opioid epidemic, countering human trafficking, criminal justice reform, and supporting law enforcement. But I need to know that you share a core value, ensuring the Department of Justice remains free from partisan or political influence, in particular by the White House. So I look forward to our discussion about that today. As Attorney General, if confirmed, who would be your client?
My oath would be to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. The people of America would be my client. Now, it is also my job to advise the president. My client are the people of America.
A simple question of constitutional interpretation. Is President-elect Trump eligible to run for another term as president in 2028?
No, Senator, not unless they change the Constitution.
Thank you. One of the concerns I've raised with you is safeguarding the Department of Justice's independence in the face of some promises on the campaign trail by then candidate Trump that he would use the department to target his political adversaries, or that he might interfere with prosecution. What would you do if your career DOJ prosecutors came to you with a case to prosecute, grounded in the facts and law, but the White House directs you to drop the case?
Senator, if I thought that would happen, I would not be sitting here today. That will not happen, will not happen. Every case will be prosecuted based on the facts and the law that is applied in good faith, period. Politics have got to be taken out of the system.
I agree with you.
This department has been weaponized for years and years and years,
But let
and
me,
it has
if
to
I might,
stop.
thank you. Let me, if I might, Madam Attorney General, refer you back to Senator Durbin's opening comments about previous attorneys general, our former colleague, Jeff Sessions, Bill Barr. I don't think it's credible to say that it may never happen that the president-elect would direct an unethical or illegal act. I think both of those attorneys general found themselves crosswise with the then president by doing things he didn't welcome or approve of. Just answer the question for me, if you would. I know you may not expect it. I know you wouldn't have accepted this nomination if you thought it possible. But let's imagine that once again, President-elect Trump issues a directive or order to you or to the FBI director that is outside the boundaries of ethics or law. What will you do?
Senator, I will never speak on a hypothetical, especially one saying that the president would do something illegal. What I can tell you is my duty, if confirmed as the Attorney General, will be to the Constitution and the United States of America. And the most important oath, part of that oath that I will take, are the last four words, "So help me God."
Given the importance of that oath, I hope you can understand the importance of repeated questions from some of us about the importance of having independence in the Department of Justice. It has a long tradition of independent special prosecutors, especially to handle high-profile or often political cases. If you got credible evidence of a criminal violation by a White House official, including even the president, would you bring in a special prosecutor?
Senator, that's a hypothetical. I can tell you what I do know is special prosecutors have been abused in the past on both sides. We have seen that for many, many years. They have cost the taxpayers countless dollars, countless. And I will look at each situation on a case-by-case basis and consult the appropriate career ethics officials within the department to make that decision.
Attorney General, do you think special counsels need to be confirmed by the Senate?
I will follow the law, and I will consult with the appropriate ethics officials regarding the law. Right now, they do not need to be Senate confirmed, of course.
But you did sign an 11th Circuit brief arguing that they should be.
I will follow the law, Senator. That's why I said that.
Understood, but I was just getting to the clarity about the difference between a
Absolutely.
position you've advocated and what the current law is. Thank you for that. Look, bluntly, to me, refusing to answer a hypothetical when there is clear and concrete previous history raises some concerns for me. I think Chris Wray has done an outstanding job as FBI director at avoiding political pressure. And although he was chosen by President Trump, he's being driven out so that he can be replaced. My perception, I've not yet met with Mr. Patel, by a loyalist who has publicly said he will do what the president asks him. Given that Attorney General Barr was asked to go find evidence of election interference and improprieties, went and looked for the evidence and said, I can't find any, and was then dismissed, I'm just going to ask you one last time. Can you clarify for me that in following ethics and the law, you'd be willing to resign if ordered to do something improper?
Senator, I wouldn't work at a law firm. I wouldn't be a prosecutor. I wouldn't be attorney general. If anyone asked me to do something improper and I felt I had to carry that out, of course I would not do that. That's one of the main things you learn when you're a young prosecutor is to do the right thing. And I believe that has continued with me throughout my very long career.
As we discussed, protecting American invention and innovation, American intellectual property, is a real concern of mine and of several others on this committee. I look forward to talking with you about that pressing concern. But the most important question I had for you today is whether you will be willing and able to stand up to politicization and interference in the Department of Justice. And I look forward to further clarification from you about the specifics of that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator.
Senator Cruz would be next, but he's not here, so I call on Senator Kennedy.
During the confirmation hearing for Pam Bondi, President-elect Donald Trump's nominee for Attorney General, Senator Chris Coons opened with what he described as a simple three-factor test: qualifications, policy judgment, and character. But what followed was anything but simple. It quickly became a test of whether the Justice Department can truly operate independently when political pressure comes from the very top. Senator Coons began by acknowledging Bondi's experience and noting areas where they had previously found common ground: fighting the opioid epidemic, countering human trafficking, criminal justice reform, and supporting law enforcement. That opening was deliberate. It established that this was not a partisan ambush, but a serious inquiry into the role she would play if confirmed. And if you want more context-driven political analysis like this, take a moment to subscribe. Then came the core issue: independence. Coons made it clear that his concern was not abstract. On the campaign trail, Donald Trump repeatedly promised to use the Justice Department to go after political adversaries and to intervene in prosecutions. That history framed the question that followed: who exactly would be the Attorney General's client? Bondi's response was carefully worded. She said her oath would be to support and defend the Constitution, that the people of the United States would be her client, and that she would also advise the president. On paper, that answer aligns with the traditional understanding of the Attorney General's role. If you want ongoing coverage of how those pressures play out in real time, make sure you subscribe. The exchange then turned to a straightforward constitutional question with major implications. Is President-elect Trump eligible to run for another term in 2028? Bondi answered clearly, no, not unless the Constitution is changed. That answer reflects the plain language of the 22nd Amendment, which limits presidents to 2 elected terms. It was one of the few moments in the hearing where there was no ambiguity, and it signaled that Bondi was not willing, at least publicly, to entertain fringe legal theories on term limits. But the most revealing moment came next. Senator Coons posed a hypothetical that was anything but hypothetical. What would Bondi do if career DOJ prosecutors brought her a case grounded in facts and law, but the White House directed her to drop it? Bondi responded by saying that if she believed that situation could happen, she would not be sitting there today. She insisted it would never happen, that every case would be prosecuted based on facts and law, and that politics must be taken out of the system. She went further, claiming the Department of Justice has been weaponized for years. On its face, that sounds reassuring, but here is where history matters. And if you want analysis that connects today's headlines to past reality, subscribe now. Senator Coons immediately pushed back, referencing former Attorneys General Jeff Sessions and Bill Barr. Both men served under Donald Trump. Both found themselves at odds with him when they refused to act in ways that crossed ethical or legal lines. Sessions was publicly humiliated and forced out for recusing himself from the Russia investigation. Barr, despite often shielding Trump, ultimately acknowledged there was no evidence of widespread election fraud and faced backlash for it. The point Coons was making is critical. It is not credible to say that a president would never direct an unethical or illegal act. It has happened before. The real test of an attorney general is not whether they expect pressure, but what they do when it arrives. Bondi did not directly answer what she would do if such a directive came anyway. Instead, she rejected the premise. That omission is what makes this moment so important. It leaves unanswered the question that matters most, not whether she believes it will happen, but whether she would resist if it does. For viewers, the takeaway is this. Confirmation hearings are not just about resumes or party labels. They are about stress testing the guardrails of democracy before they are under strain. The Justice Department's independence is not self-enforcing. It depends on individuals who are willing to say no, even when saying no costs them their job. If you want continued, clear-eyed coverage of how power, law, and accountability intersect in Washington, make sure you subscribe to the channel. These moments matter, and understanding them now helps explain the consequences later.